Hey guys, I'm just Jershin, and welcome to Season 3 of PokeMarch Madness. Now, I am still on my little hiatus, taking a little break, feeling pretty good, starting to feel a little recharged and re-energized, but I can't leave you guys hanging without Season 3 of PokeMarch Madness. It is March. If you don't know what PokeMarch Madness is, I will leave the links to Season 1 and Season 2 in the description below, like a good YouTuber. Essentially, back in 2020, when COVID first started and is still going somehow, who would have guessed 3 years later, 2 years later, going on 3 years, we started a series called PokeMarch Madness to replace normal March Madness that it had been canceled because of the start of the pandemic. And it was a lot of fun. Season 1, we did each region, Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3, Gen 4, etc., to determine the best Pokemon in each region. Season 2, we did the gym leaders from each region, best gym leader from each region. Season 3, it's a little bit of a mixed bag. Now, it will mean we have more episodes. I think we have like 10 or 12 total brackets. I can't remember exactly. But the general theme, if you want to call it that, the general theme that is tying this year's PokeMarch Madness brackets together is characters? Side characters, I guess, if you want to call it that. We're going to be doing over the course of the next couple of weeks some different brackets about different characters, and this is going to be a little bit different for us. Rather than each bracket being a single generation, it's going to be different characters from across different generations tied together in some specific way. For example, Elite Four members, rivals, champions, moms, side characters. I think we have a Pokemon Legends Arceus specific bracket because there's so many characters in that game. There's a lot of different ones, but the thing that's connecting them all is that they're all characters. Today, as you can see from the top of this list right here, we are going to be doing Pokemon Rivals. I will say as well, our boys NSL and Yeetus are going to be doing these brackets as well, I believe. I will have a link to their videos if they're out in the description. At the very least, their channels. It's a little different this year because there's no specific order, you know? Before we went generation by generation, so there was a logical 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This year, it's all kind of random, so I think we're just going to be doing them in whatever order. I'm just going chronologically based on when NSL created them, I believe. Maybe, unless I messed it up already, but I believe Rivals was the first one that I saw. So I'm starting with Rivals today, and we are going to go, for those who don't know, we will start over on the left side. We will go down. As you can see, some of the characters do have bye weeks, and that's fine, they deserve it. We will go matchup by matchup to determine who is the better of those two rivals. If they win, they move on to the next round. We go down the left side, then we go down the right side, closer and closer into the middle until bada bing, bada boom, right above me, we crown a singular greatest rival in the history of all Pokemon games. Rivals have been a quintessential part of your Pokemon journey since they've been in every single game. Some generations have multiple rivals, some generations only have a single rival, some rivals are friendly, some rivals are mean. Which reminds me, a couple stipulations before we get too far into this. Look, you've been here before, it's PokeMarch Madness. You know I talk for about 30 minutes before we actually start making picks. I'm gonna try to be a little bit more objective this year, as opposed to in the past. I just kind of went based on feelings. I was like, I like this Pokemon, I like this gym leader. I sat down and I tried to think about what makes a good rival, and I believe I've nailed it down to 3 core characteristics that I will be kind of keeping in the back of my mind as I judge each of these rivals, and just for you to think about as well, to know where I'm coming from for some of these. Number 1, I think they should be tough battles. They should serve as checkpoints along your journey, and in my opinion, my subjective opinion, some of the best rival battles are the ones you're the most scared of. The ones that when you're going through a Nuzlocke, I still think to this day, I'll talk about Blue since he's got a bye week for the first round. I still think about the rival fight before you go on Nugget Bridge in Cerulean City. That is a terrifying. Just every time I see that portion of Cerulean City, I get a little bit of PTSD. That's a good rival fight. And a good rival, in my opinion, has a lot of those battles that you're almost scared to go into because you know it's going to put up a good challenge. Number 2, I think that they should be complex characters. They shouldn't be flat. If they stay the same throughout the entire journey, that's a little boring in my opinion. Now, I don't think a rival necessarily needs to be friendly or mean to be more effective. I do tend to like the more competitive, mean rivals more, because I get more satisfaction out of destroying their hopes and dreams. But I think that the friendly rival can be done effectively as well. But either way, whichever camp they fall into, I think it's nicer if they have a little bit of character development over the course of the story. And thirdly, speaking of the story, I would like for them to be integral to the story in some way. There are definitely some rivals, and we will get into them, that just kind of show up randomly as you're going throughout the region, as nothing more than just, hello, remember me? I exist. We started in the same town together. Want to do a little fight? Those are kind of boring to me. I like the rival battles that kind of follow you along the journey, whether that's interacting with the evil team or in the case of Gen 1, you know, your main journey is just to defeat all the gyms, and I think Blue does a pretty good job of, he's also trying to defeat all the gyms. He's matching you. You guys have the same common goal, and you butt heads along the way because of it. So those are the three categories by which I'm going to judge a what I would call a good rival. And with that in mind, let's get started. One final thing before we get started. There are characters, this is for the whole season in general. There are going to be some characters that show up in multiple brackets. Blue is a great example. Blue is a rival. Blue is also a champion. Just know that when I do these brackets, the fact that Blue is a champion at some point does aid his rival story. It's cool getting to fight your rival as a champion. However, my stipulations for judging him as a champion versus judging him as a rival are going to be completely different. So I'm going to be judging him purely in this bracket based off of how effective a rival he is. And later when we get to the champion bracket, I will judge him based off of how good a champion he is. So, and by that same stipulation, you know, I may think that Shauna is a great, bad example, but maybe Shauna is a great character. Maybe I really like her character arc. Maybe I really like her character design. Maybe I just like her as a person, but maybe she doesn't make a great rival. That could happen too. There could be some characters in here who I love as characters, but in the context of a rival, I don't think they make a very good rival. Anyway, that's enough yammering. Let's get this thing started. Okay, left side. Like I said, Blue gets a bye week. Congratulations, Blue. I honestly think that's pretty well deserved. We're going to start with Shauna and Hugh. And by the way, if you've never seen any of the previous PokeMarch Madness videos, just know that typically the way I do these is I give a lot of explanation in the first round. We're going to go character by character. I'll give you kind of my overall opinion of them. We'll do kind of semi-deep dive, as deep as off-the-cuff commentary can go. We'll get a semi-deep dive into how I feel about them in the first round, and then the second and third and fourth, etc. rounds, it's a lot more gut reaction. So it's going to seem like it starts off very slow. It'll pick up towards the end. Shauna suffers, in my opinion, from a lot of the issues that the Gen 6 rivals, Pokemon X and Y, rivals suffer from, which is there's so dang many of them. They essentially, it almost feels like, took a single rival character and split them into like 4 or 5 different personalities. And instead of having to fight the same rival at different points along your journey, you fight different rivals. Now, I really like the idea of having the squad. I think it's pretty cool. But the issue, and this will stand for pretty much all of the Gen 6 rivals, is they're so flat. They all have like one characteristic that makes them different. Tierno likes to dance. Trevor is a big old nerd. Shauna likes cute things. I can't even remember what specifically about her was her unique thing. And they stay the same way throughout the entire storyline. So that already is going to dock some points off for Shauna. In terms of rival battles, I seem to remember her battle on the bridge towards the end of the game being kind of scary. But other than that, I don't really have any memorable moments with this character over the course of the entire journey. And in terms of being integral to the plot, other than the gender-bent protagonist of Gen 5, so either Callum or Serena, I believe their 2 names are, other than those characters, these smaller rivals don't really join you very often in terms of important stuff over the course of the journey. So that's going to take off some points from them as well. Now, Hugh, on the other hand, Hugh was the rival from Black 2 and White 2, I believe. Something kind of interesting about Hugh is First of all, what did they not have a coat with the correct neck size, my brother? It looks like in SpongeBob when SpongeBob creates the sweater made out of, I think, his eyelashes maybe for Squidward, and to make sure his head fits through, he uses a watermelon to judge the size, and then when Squidward puts it on, the collar goes out to here. Surely they have something better fitting than that. But looks aside, Hugh is like a friendly rival. He's joining you along your journey. You kind of have a common goal, but he is extremely competitive as well. His competitiveness is just fueled towards Team Plasma, who stole his younger sister's purloin. He's not that complex a character. From the starting town, he says, I want to defeat Team Plasma because they stole my sister's purloin, and up until the final battle he says, I want to stop Team Plasma because they stole my sister's purloin. He's consistent throughout the entire thing. He doesn't face a ton of trials and tribulations. He even succeeds at the end, and thankfully brings the purloin back to his younger sister, which it's a nice story. It's a little flat, but I do like him as a character. I think it's a friendly rival done correctly. He's friendly in that he's working with towards a common goal with you, but he also he's got a pretty good team, and he actually puts up a challenge every now and again. And even though his competitive fire isn't directed towards you as the character, I still think he's got a nice little edge to him. So this one's easy. Shauna, kind of stinky. I'm gonna give it to Hugh here. Congratulations, Hugh. Next we have Bead/Beady, never learned how to pronounce this name correctly, and Trace. Bead is a random character who kind of shows up in Pokemon Sword and Shield when you're leaving the Roly-Coly Cave, about to go take on the first gym leader. Kind of just introduces himself as, I thought it was an old lady at first. It is not an old lady, it is a small child, apparently. And he just kind of introduces himself as, hey, I'm your rival, I have shown up now. He's not necessarily integral to the storyline, except for the fact that he does become a gym leader towards the end. However, he's got a smugness. This is, I thought about when I was debating on how to judge a rival. I was debating on adding a fourth metric, which was satisfaction when defeating them. Bead is a very smug individual, and I do feel pretty good when I beat him. But alternatively, I feel good when I beat Trace, but that's because Trace just sucks. Trace is the Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee rival. He takes the place of Blue. Look, Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee was already like baby's first Pokemon Red and Blue. And Trace is like baby's first Blue. He is like Blue, but all of the characteristics are dialed down about 90%. He's like kind of smug, a little bit, sometimes, maybe, but then as soon as you beat him, he gives you like 30 revives and basically like kisses your feet and prays down to you. His final battle, the champion battle, is kind of cool. He's got a Mega, which was a nice change of pace. Let's Go with Pikachu and Eevee were just kind of messes in general, but there are components of Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee that I do like. Trace is not one of them. I think he's pretty bad. Bead, at least, you can just see from the eyes here, at least exudes a little bit of smugness that makes me excited when I destroy them. I'm gonna give it to Bead here because Trace is truly awful. Now, Barry gets a bye here, so congratulations, Barry. Gladion also gets a bye. We'll talk more about you when you're actually pitted up against someone. Next, we have Avery and Brendan. Now, I'm gonna be honest here. Maybe I'm not. I'm trying to use matchup mode. Excuse me, my matchup mode? My matchup mode is broken? Okay, we will not be using matchup mode. Instead, you can take a look over on the left side of the screen. We'll do it the good old-fashioned way, the way God intended. We have Avery and Brendan. Now, Avery is your rival from Pokemon Shield when you download the Isle of Armor DLC. Full transparency, I played Pokemon Sword. I have my DLC on Pokemon Sword. I never played Pokemon Shield, so therefore I never met or faced Avery. So I know essentially nothing about this character other than I kind of want to punch him in the face just from looking at him. I faced Clara instead, who is, you know, I would say less interesting a character design than Avery. But because I just don't have this is unfortunate because I think most people from what I've heard hate this guy. They think he's a pretty good rival because of it. So it's a shame that he's going to lose to Brendan, who I think is one of the weakest rivals in the whole series of any game. Brendan and May, essentially, depending on which character, if you choose male or female to start, it's just the same character for either of them. They don't have their own personalities at all. They don't have any character arc other than halfway through the game deciding that they hate battling and they just want to research Pokemon, I think, or something like that. So they just disappear completely. Wally completely outshadows them as the true rival in Gen 3. They have just a copy-pasted personality of each other, and they suffer tremendously from what I was saying earlier. They just show up. There's no rhyme or reason to when this rival fight is going to happen. They just randomly go, "Oh, hello, I see you've crossed a bridge across from the Weather Institute. Would you like to battle? Oh, hello, I am standing now in front of the PokeMarch. Would you like to battle?" There's no rhyme or reason to when these guys show up, and I think that's kind of bad, and they're also very flat. Am I really going to give it to Avery, who I know nothing about? Yeah, sure. I think objectively most people would say Avery is better. I'm going just based off what the internet has told me. I think Brendan and May are two of the weakest rivals in the entire series. Clara and Trevor. We've kind of already talked about Trevor. Trevor suffers from the same thing Shauna does, which is he is a nerd and he's nothing more, and he's got a big old hair. I'm growing out my hair right now a little bit. My hair is getting close to Trevor's bowliness, but we're not quite there yet. Clara, at least, she put up a fighting Clara in the Isle of Armor DLC. Her Galarian Slowbro is actually pretty tough. I gotta give that thing credit. It kind of hurt me quite a bit. Trevor, I'm literally never scared of, and he should probably get shoved in a locker. Congrats, Clara. N gets a bye, because of course he does. Wally gets a bye, the true Gen 3 rival. Next we have Hal and Caleb. I didn't even realize his name was Caleb. That's very strange. I love that in Hal's picture, can we use matchup mode again? Matchup mode, come back. Nope, it's gone forever. I love that in Hal's picture, he looks so determined and resolute. Whereas in the game itself, he basically has two character traits completely. He is happy, and he likes malasadas. And that's about it. That is the extent of Hal's character development over the course of the entire game. When you meet him, he is happy, and he talks about malasadas. And when you leave him at the end of the game, at the Elite Four, I think, he is happy, and he wants to go eat a malasada. Very boring. He is also just a pushover. You steamroll him every single time. At least that was my experience in Sun and Moon. He put up no challenge whatsoever. He's at least kind of involved in the storyline, so I'll give him that. But he doesn't give much input other than they're like, "Oh my god, the Aether Foundation's opening a space wormhole. They're gonna bring in the aliens. They're gonna destroy the Earth." And Hal's like, "We should get some malasadas. That will make things better." He's there for the story elements, but he doesn't really contribute that much. Okay, Caleb and by proxy Serena, they suffer pretty similarly to how May and Brendan suffer. They're close to the same character. It just depends which gender starter that you choose. And they're kind of just like the mirrored versions of each other because someone has to fulfill the same role. I will at least give them credit. Once again, the bridge towards the end of the game, I remember that battle being pretty tough. I think that's the only tough battle. And they're at least there helping you take out Team Flare the entire time, even if Team Flare is kind of a lame evil team. They're at least involved in the plot line trying to save the world with you. So I'll give them some credit. Look, How is such a weak rival that I'm going to give it to Caleb here. Marny and Tierno. Tierno just dances. I actually this is what I was saying earlier about, I love Tierno as a character. I would love to hang out with him. He's just a cool, fun-loving dude. Horrible rival. That doesn't exude any of the traits of a rival that you'd actually want to compete with. Similarly, I really like Marny as a character. I don't think she's a great rival. She's not super duper integral to the Sword and Shield story, other than her older brother being the gym leader. And then I guess she's kind of related to Team Yell, but Team Yell is also kind of lame. But her battles are tough. The Morpeko has bodied me many times over the course of my life. Either way, she's way better than Tierno. Congratulations. Sharon gets a bye. Hop gets a bye. Serena and May. These may as well be the same character. For the same reasons I listed above, May and Brendan, just awful. Serena, congratulations. You can move on. Bianca and Silver get a bye. All right. Back to the top left. We have Blue and Hugh. little bit of rhyming going on here, and I'm a fan of that. I've already said everything I need to say about Hugh. And then we've got Blue, the OG, the first rival in the first Pokemon game I ever played was Pokemon Red. So of course Blue is the main rival, and he follows you throughout the game. He is like your quintessential mean rival. He says snide comments. He says smell you later, hurts my feelings, took several showers afterwards. And I think the coolest thing about Blue is, like I said, you have a common goal. Both of you are racing to not only fill out the Pokedex and get all of the gym badges and to become the champion. And throughout the entire journey, Blue is always one step ahead of you. You get to the next town, he already defeated that gym. You catch the 50 Pokemon, he's got 51 Pokemon. And at the ultimate moment at the end of the game, when you beat Lance and you believe you've become the champion, you find out that Blue beat him like 15 minutes earlier, and now you have to go defeat Blue. It's a nice little twist towards the end. If I have any negative thing to say about Blue, it's that he's not a very complex character. He's smug, he's arrogant, he's kind of a grandpa's boy. He believes that he should be given everything. He goes through a little character journey himself. His Raticate dies, he has to go bury it, but he stays relatively flat for the entire series. That works against him a little bit, but 2 or 3, it's probably Blue here. Hugh's a good rival, but I think Blue, I'm trying not to cloud my judgment with nostalgia. Blue's just great. Next we have Bead and Barry. Barry is the rival in Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum. He's a friendly rival. You've been childhood friends, but he's also very annoying. I want to punch him in the face, but for different reasons than I want to punch Blue in the face. I want to punch Blue in the face because he's a meanie. I want to punch Barry in the face because he just doesn't stop talking, ever. Barry suffers a little bit from Brendan and May syndrome of he kind of just shows up randomly, but he's also got some of the traits of Blue. I'll give him credit. He's got some of the traits of Blue of, always being one step ahead of you on your journey. And if there's one thing I have to give to Barry, this man can build a team. I remember the first time when I first played through Diamond and Pearl and I was going up against his Staraptor with I think I had Rampardos on my team at the time, and that thing pulled out a close combat out of nowhere and sent me to the Shadow Realm. He builds his team very nicely. His battles are usually very tough. The battle on the bridge, what is with Pokemon games and scary battles on bridges? The battle on the bridge in Canalave City comes to mind in particular, and of course the battle before the Elite Four is also very scary. I gotta give Barry some credit there. I think he is a friendly rival done mostly right. There's a nice sense of competition there, and like I said, that 4th hidden metric of I feel good when I beat the rival, I feel very good when I defeat Barry. Bead is fine. I wish they were a little bit more integral to some of the story stuff. I do get some sick joy out of defeating them, but that's just because they're so smug. Going to give it to Barry. Okay, this one's gonna go to Gladian easily because I don't even know who Avery is. And I also think Gladian is a super interesting character. The battles. His battles are about as tough as Sun and Moon battles can be. Most Sun and Moon stuff is very easy, and you're over leveled for all of it, but he at least has like an interesting team. Type Null's super cool, and he's about as entrenched in the storyline as you can possibly get. Defecting from the Aether Foundation, joining Team Skull so that he feels like he has a place. He is an angsty boy from beginning to end. However, he's got a very complex and interesting backstory, and I like that about him quite a bit. He's easily going to defeat Avery. Clara versus N, it's N by like a country mile. N is about as entrenched in the black and white storyline as you can possibly get. It essentially revolves around this man. And he's got to be, I don't think it's a controversial statement to say, he's maybe the most interesting character in any Pokemon game ever. He serves as a rival, but not as, what's interesting is the other rivals, you typically either have like, you have a common goal, whether that's to become the champion or to catch all the Pokemon, defeat the, whatever it is. You usually have like a common goal that you're fighting. With N, it's interesting because it's almost like a rivalry of ideologies, which is kind of the whole theme of Gen 5 Black and White. You know, should Pokemon be used? Should they be partners? Should Pokemon be set free? That's kind of the whole Team Plasma shtick in general. And it's, you always leave the end battles not feeling good that you defeated him, but almost like a little puzzled. His team's stacked. Look, his team is pretty bonkers. Except I think he has a Klinklang, which I hate that Pokemon quite a bit. But his team is very stacked. His Zoroark sends chills down my spine to this day. And I think he's a really good rival. Wally and Caleb. It's Wally easily. Caleb, as I mentioned earlier, basically won because he was going up against the New York Giants. Congratulations to Wally, however, you're going to stomp all over Caleb. Wally is like the redeeming... Gen 3, I'm not a big fan of. I've talked about it before. Wally is the true rival of Gen 3. As much as they'd want you to think it's the other child from your hometown, it's Wally. He's integral to the storyline. You get to go on this character journey with him from this frail, sickly kid. You're there when he catches his first Ralts, and it's that very same Ralts evolved into a Gardevoir at the end of the game, right before you hit the Elite Four, that is bodying you in Victory Road. I love seeing that full transformation from, you know, kind of frail and timid and meek to confident, powerful, even though you do defeat him at the end. It's cool getting to see him go on this character journey. He's integral to the story, he's complex, and he's got some very scary battles. So congrats, Wally, you beat Caleb pretty easily. Marny versus Sharon. You'll notice that we kind of handpicked some of the buy rounds here to be some of the stronger rivals. So you'll notice that a lot of the characters with buy rounds are kind of bodying here in the second round, and that's the same way that, like, you know, football goes. The top seeds get the buy rounds, so you would expect them to win their next matchups. Sharon's gonna win here as well. Now, Gen 5, I believe, well, if you count Wally as a second rival, but Gen 5 was one of the first to, from the starting town, go, here you go, here's two people that you're going on your journey with, and your triumvirate kind of goes throughout the entire region together, which is cool. I do have some issues with when they split the rival into two rivals, the frequency of trainer battles goes up, or of rival battles goes up significantly. Feels like you're fighting a rival battle before and after every single gym. Gets a little obnoxious, but I'm not going to hold that against the characters. Remember, this is just, we're looking at them as rivals. Sharon is kind of smug. He's very intelligent, great at team building. He shares close, of the two Gen 5 rivals, he definitely shares closer aspirations to you than Bianca does in terms of, you know, completing a Pokedex, wanting to be the very best. Bianca has ambitions elsewhere. I remember the Sharon fights a lot more than I remember the Bianca fights, and in terms of personality, I get a little bit more pleasure out of defeating Sharon than I do out of defeating Bianca. Beating Bianca makes me feel almost bad at times because she seems like she doesn't want to be there. Sharon, at least, it's like, okay, we're actually gonna test our skill here, and there's a nice feeling associated with that. Serena, you barely won last time. I'm gonna give it to Hop. I actually think Hop is a great rival. Hop gets sorry about it, my contact is like folding in on itself. Hop gets a bad rap as just being reskinned. How? While the animations did get reskinned, I don't think that's accurate at all. Hop actually has like a super interesting storyline and really good character development over the course of the entire game. His older brother is the champion, so he's kind of always living in the shadow of his older brother. And because of that, he is extremely determined to become the next champion. And he pits himself against you. You guys are going to work together to become better. And he is determined to ultimately beat you and become the champion by the end of it and usurp his brother. And rather than some of the there's other characters who have that like same level. Barry comes to mind, or How is a great example. How is like, I'm gonna become the best. And then you beat him and he's like, dang, I guess I'll go eat a malasada, but I'm gonna become the best. And they just stay the same throughout the entire thing. There's like a dip with Hop halfway through the game where after you've beaten him like 3 or 4 times, he like spirals. He falls into like a depression, where he like starts to question. He even loses to Team Yell one time. He starts to question whether he's good enough. Is he actually cut out to become a champion? One small thing that I can't remember. I watched a YouTube video where they talked about it, and I think it's a great small touch. when he's going through this spell, there are 3 consecutive battles where you face him, and his team is completely different every single time, other than his starter. As if he's trying to like, he's like, maybe my team's not, I'm gonna try everything to try to get out of this. And ultimately, when he comes out on the other side, he goes back to the original team that he has, and he sticks with them again. I think it's a nice representation of going through self-doubt and stuff like that. Hop's a great character. I don't care what anybody says. Bianca is less of a great character. She is definitely the weaker between her and Sharon. She's the weaker of the 2 Gen 5 rivals. In fact, she kind of just like falls off towards the end, and she's like, I think I just want to be friends with Pokemon. Silver, on the other hand, oh baby. Silver is a fantastic rival. Your introduction to him is him peeping into the Pokemon lab, and he punches you in the gut if you get too close. From there, your first battle interaction with him, he's literally stolen a starter Pokemon from the professor. So your like opinion of this guy, all-time low as soon as you meet him. And he has kind of a similar thing to N going on, where there's almost like a battle of ideologies. Now, in his case, the ideology is like Pokemon are, he's like as far away from N as it gets. Pokemon are tools, they must be exploited, I only want strong Pokemon, yada, yada, yada. Which seems kind of flat at first, but he definitely goes through a character transformation throughout. You make him question his belief system. I think there's points in the game where, you know, he keeps losing over and over, and he's like, why? I have the strongest Pokemon. Why aren't I winning? And he goes through like a little bit of a revolution. And it gets even better in Heart Gold and Soul Silver when you travel back in time with Celebi and you find out that he's Giovanni's son. Spoiler alert. I think that's accurate. Hopefully I got that correct. It's even cooler when you find that out, because it gives so much more context to why he's so fricked up. I think Silver's a great rival. I don't call him Silver. I call him question mark, question mark, question mark. Those who have been there for our Pokemon Heart Gold series will know why. All right, we are in the quarterfinals, semifinal. We're in the Elite 8. There's 8 left. I've said my piece on pretty much all of the rivals up to this point. So from here on out, we'll speed through. Barry. These guys are both very tough. Very good battles. Both pretty integral to the plot. Both pretty flat. I think these are pretty close to almost the same character, I would even say. Except that one of them is kind of nice and one of them is just straight up mean. Subjective tendency, I like the mean rivals better. I get more satisfaction out of pitting myself up against them. Gladian versus N. This is also kind of interesting. Both are associated with the NSL did a great job seeding this, first of all. These are some great matchups. Both of them are kind of associated with the evil team of the region. There's a little bit of mysteriousness, and you've got the Zoroark, you've got the type Null. I can remember their teams and their signature Pokemon very vividly. This one's actually pretty tough, and it's surprising because I really don't like Sun and Moon, but Gladian is a great character in Sun and Moon. Don't judge them as characters, judge them based on rivals. They're both so integral to, I'm going based on my metrics. They both have tough battles. They're both integral to the storylines. They're both very complex characters. Let's use the hidden fourth metric. Who do I get more satisfaction out of defeating? I get more satisfaction defeating Gladian. I'm sorry, N. That's not a testament to N as a character. N's gonna show up in future brackets, and I promise you, he's gonna clean house. But as far as rivals go, I think I like defeating Gladian a little bit more. Wally versus Sharon, pretty easy. Wally's a stud. I could gush about how good a character Wally is over and over again. I think he does the rival thing very well, and you get to see his entire character arc on screen. I do get a little bit more joy out of defeating Sharon because he's kind of smug. I don't feel as good defeating Wally because you see him in the beginning and you're kind of just crushing his hopes and dreams throughout the course of the entire game. However, scarier battles, much scarier battles. His Gardevoir, I couldn't tell you Sharon's ace. Nope, couldn't tell you. I know he's the normal type gym leader in Black 2, White 2. Couldn't tell you who his ace is, other than, you know, he picks the starter that you don't, but I can't think of another Pokemon on his team. Therefore, gotta give it to Wally. Hop versus Silver. Most would say this is very easy. I think it's actually very tough. I think Hop is a very good character for all of the reasons that I said before. But Silver's kind of like the quintessential rival, man. He embodies, especially for me who likes the evil rivals, who kind of have a little bit of a change of heart towards the end. I gotta give it to Silver here. There are parts. They both have scary teams. Hop literally ended my Pokemon Shield Wonderlock. if you were there for that, if you remember that. It's one of the only Nuzlocks I've ever lost on the channel. I lost to Hop, so don't tell me he stinks. He bodied me. Very integral to the storyline, common goal, all of that stuff. I feel bad when I beat Hop sometimes, especially when he's going through his little bout, although it kind of helps him, you know, the strongest steel is forged by the hottest fires and all that. I feel a little bad beating him sometimes, but that's okay. Okay, Blue versus Gladian. This is a less hard decision. He disappeared! Blue, come back! There we go, we're fine. All right, Blue is going to succeed here. Congratulations to Blue. I'm trying not to be clouded by nostalgia here, but he's just such a good rival. The satisfaction when you... Now that we're in this final four here, I would say that all four of these guys tick off all three of the main boxes. So we're going purely more based on gut reactions here, and apparently my gut lives in the past. Okay, Wally versus Silver. I'm gonna give it... You piece. I'm gonna give it to Silver here. Congratulations. Okay, this is the most nostalgia-filled bracket of all time. Our champion matchup is Blue from Pokemon Red and Blue versus Silver from Pokemon Gold and Silver. Gen 1, Gen 2. It's tough here. These guys share a lot of similar characteristics. They're smug, they're arrogant, they're mean. They use Pokemon as tools. They follow you along your entire journey. You butt heads constantly. They've got some terrifying battles. The battle with this guy outside of Bugsy's gym lives in infamy in my brain at the very least for a very long time. They share such similar characteristics. However, the winner here is going to be determined. Because while they are both mean and smug, you at least see some wavering in Silver as the game goes on, questioning his judgment and therefore rounding out his character a little bit better. He's slightly more dynamic a character, and therefore, based on the metrics I said at the beginning, is a better rival overall. There we go. Congratulations. Thank you guys if you stuck it out this long. There is my favorite rival. Any Pokemon game, it is Silver, and I think I knew that one going in. I'm actually not surprised by that. I love the Johto region and Gen 2 in general, and I think they nailed the rival. I don't think they've done another rival as good as Silver. Gladian's pretty good, but you almost like team up for a while. But they got some similar characteristics. Silver nailed it. Silver absolutely nailed it. All right, let me know. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Would you have chosen anything differently? The link to this bracket will, of course, be in the description below. If you feel so personally attacked by my decisions, you can fill out your own bracket, and you can share it with me on Twitter @JustJershin or in the Discord, link in the description below. I'm gonna get to doing some more of these. I don't know which one's gonna come next. We're just gonna go in chronological order. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.